Okay, what's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here on my high horse and pretend that policing in Trinidad and Tobago is easy. I'm not going to sit here on my high horse and pretend that policing in Trinidad and Tobago is easy. It's not. Any old fool would tell you this. So when you've got lawlessness and when you've got violent gangs and when you've got kidnappings and a population living in fear, it's certainly a high-risk job, and that's the reality. So I'm not going to dress it up anything, or try to make out that it's easy being a police officer in Trinidad and Tobago. Sadly, that is not the case. It's one of the most dangerous places on the planet to probably be a police officer, I would imagine, because of the astronomical crime rate that we have currently. So this video is not about attacking police officers. Rather, it's about calling out the state, because what we are witnessing in Trinidad is not just crime, in my opinion. It's a collapse of the state. It's a collapse of control. The state has lost control of the situation, and they're now putting their failure in the hands of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So this is a second state of emergency in a matter of months, as you know. The first one was ridiculed by the opposition, as they were back then. Now the current serving regime in Trinidad and Tobago, that alone should tell you everything you need to know. They ridiculed it when it was put in by Stuart Young, the Prime Minister at the time. And now they've gone on to do exactly the same themselves. And I have a saying that the definition of madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. You've heard me say this many times on this channel, and we continue to see that happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, if they ridiculed it the first time, why is it such a good thing now? What has changed to make it better than it was the last time? The reality is, state of emergency does not work. You know this, I know this. It's been done many, many times across the world. It does not work. And now, because people are scared and people are angry, we are starting to hear calls to arm the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And that's what this video is about today. This call to arm the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to adopt the stand your ground laws, just like they do in the United States, as if that's a solution to the crime rate in Trinidad and Tobago. So we've gone from state of emergency, which we're currently in, to this talking about this stand your ground laws or rules or whatever policy this government is talking about bringing in. It's backwards. So let me be clear. That urge is understandable. I know it. I see why it's understandable, but it's dangerously misguided. It's dangerously misguided, and here's why. Here is why. Like I said, I understand the urge from people to want to do this. I understand why people want to do this. The state, has failed you. The state has failed you, the public, the citizens, the tax-paying citizens of Trinidad and Tobago is being failed by the state. Please like and subscribe to this network, by the way. Like and subscribe to this network. About 70% of you are still not subscribed. So it'd be appreciated if you do. So let's start with fact number one. More guns equal more death. That is my first argument. More gun equals more death. And that's based on research. That's not just me saying things. That's based on research from America, the United States, with one of the highest gun ownership in the world. They have significantly higher rates of gun homicides in America, especially in places like Mississippi and Louisiana. They have some of the highest gun ownership in the United States. And guess what? They have some of the highest gun death in the United States. The highest rates of gun death in the United States. And that's a fact. Look into it if you do not believe me. Number two, stand your ground increases violence. Stand your ground increases violence, not safety. Studies, again, research studies from Florida show homicides increased by 24 to 32% after the law was enacted. 24 to 32% after the law was enacted. It empowers vigilantes and it escalates confrontations instead of diffusing them. There's a saying in America that Texas is the most polite part of America. That's because everyone's packing. Everyone's packing in Texas. Excuse me. Number 3, guns at home often kill loved ones. Guns at home often kill loved ones, not criminals. So in the US, a gun in the home is more likely to be used on a family member accidentally or in a domestic dispute rather than on a criminal. So kids die, partners die, kids die, partners die, and innocent people die. That's a fact. Fact number 4, I believe. I am still on, I believe it's number 4. Stay with me. Racial bias. Racial bias and wrongful killings. Racial bias and wrongful killings. Stand your ground. Laws are disproportionately used to justify the killing of black and brown people, even when unarmed. Fact. So let's see how that plays out in the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago. In the Caribbean context, with our history and tensions, this is a disaster waiting to happen. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Number 5. It doesn't stop crime. It does not stop crime. It shifts the violence. Armed societies don't eliminate criminals. Fact. They create more violent criminals. They do the opposite. They create more violent criminals. Gangs arm up for every robbery they do now. So it becomes deadlier. The gun trade explodes. So if you think, maybe rightly or wrongly, I do not know. So if you think arming citizens is a solution, you only have to look at the United States. You only have to look at Chicago, Texas, Florida, Missouri. Despite gun freedom, they are drowning in violence. America has more guns than people. They have more guns than people. They have a population of around 350 million people. They have over 390 million guns in America. America is one of the most violent places on the planet for gun violence. It is the most violent place on the planet for gun violence. Excuse me. So, the truth is this. People want guns because the state of Trinidad has failed to protect them. The state has failed to do their job. The state has failed to do their due diligence. The state has failed. They've failed to deliver safety as they're required to do. They've failed to deliver safety as they are required to do. They've failed to tackle the root causes of crime. They've failed to tackle the root causes of crime, and they've failed to build a justice system people can trust. I talk to you about root causes all the time. If you have an illness, if you have a headache and you take a paracetamol, the headache will temporarily go. But if you haven't dealt with the root causes of the headache, if you don't drink enough water, for example, then the headache will come back. So you haven't dealt with the root cause of the headache. The paracetamol doesn't deal with the root causes. Water does. You are paying taxes for protection in Trinidad and Tobago. You pay your taxes to be protected, but you are being told to protect yourself. You are being told to protect yourself because why? The state has failed to protect you. This is not law and order. This is not law and order. It's a breakdown of the social contract between you and the government. And they're admitting it. They're admitting it by telling you, listen, this whole thing has failed. We have failed to deliver safety. We've failed to deliver on crime, the reduction of crime. So guess what? We're going to give you the guns and give you an opportunity to do it for yourself because we can't do it. They have failed you. Whether that be the UNC, the PNM, or whoever it is, they have failed you on this. This is why we're currently in a state of emergency. So let's talk about what does actually work. Let's talk about what's worked worldwide. Let's look at countries and cities that turned things around without arming the public. Facts. As we do here on Trinidad Empowerment Network. So we look at Colombia, Medellin in Colombia. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Medellin in Colombia. So they were once the murder capital of the world. The murder capital of the world. Medellin invested in education. They invested in urban renewal and they invested in job creation. And as a result, crime dropped, wait for it, by 80% over 20 years. Not by guns, but by opportunity. Crime dropped by 80% over 20 years. That's Colombia. Let's head over to Scotland in Great Britain. Let's head over to Scotland in Great Britain. Facts. Scotland faced rising knife crime in Glasgow. Glasgow is a capital. Rising knife crime. The solution they came up with is a violence reduction unit that treated violence like a public health issue. They invested in mental health, early intervention, and they invested in youth outreach. Mental health, early intervention, and youth outreach is how they solved the pandemic of knife crime. Once the capital of knife crime in Europe, Scotland, no longer. Let's go to Europe. Portugal in Europe, excuse me. Let's go to Portugal, where Cristiano Ronaldo's from. Instead of cracking down, they focused on social programs, community policing and reintegration. And as a result, crime rates dropped significantly. It dropped significantly in Portugal. Let's look at New York. New York City, we've all heard of New York. Between the 1990s and the 2000s, yes, policing played a role, but so did massive investment in housing, in public spaces, in after-school programs, in social infrastructure, in job creation, in opportunities. So they tackled the root causes of the issue. Remember what I told you about headaches? They tackled the root cause of the issue. They gave the city water, not paracetamol, not guns. They gave the city water. Let's look at Africa, Sierra Leone, post-conflict, after a brutal civil war. They reduced armed violence, not by flooding the streets with weapons, but by investing in disarmament, community trust, and investing in people. investing in people. It's essentially what they did. They didn't start to give people more guns, even after a conflict, a violent conflict. They disarmed the people instead and gave them opportunities. And in Sierra Leone, they saw changes. So in Trinidad and Tobago, you really need to wake up. We need to wake up. Our leaders are failing us. Our leaders are repeatedly failing us. Doesn't matter who it is, they are repeatedly failing us. So I ask you, do you really want to turn Trinidad into Texas? They say it's one of the most polite places on the planet, like I said to you previously. A country where people kill each other over car parks and loud music. That's no joke. Or do you want a safe, civil society where your children can grow up in peace, with you not worrying about someone packing or carrying a gun? Which do you prefer? Which makes more sense to you? Because I know which one I'd prefer. So let's stop pretending more guns is the answer. It is not. More guns is not the answer. It's so clear. Let's stop giving a pass to politicians, to the Roger Alexanders of this world who don't want to do the hard work, the long-term work. Let's stop letting people like, again, Roger Alexander distract us with performative toughness. I'm the tough guy. Yeah, okay. Whilst ignoring the real reason crime persists. The real reason crime persists in Trinidad and Tobago. So no, we do not need more guns. We do not need stand your ground. We need stand your responsibility. The police have been given a responsibility to look after the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and the government has been given a responsibility to look after the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that responsibility lies with them, not the citizens, and certainly not with a gun. They are failing you. They're not going to tell you that. They have failed you. They are not going to tell you this. And this is a reality. So if this message resonates, I want you to share it. I want you to share it so we can possibly educate the nation as to what really is going on. Let's stop reacting out of fear. Let's stop reacting out of fear and start demanding leadership with a vision. We deserve better than this. I'm telling you, we deserve better than this. And Trinidad can absolutely do better. Trinidad can absolutely do better, and you know it. We all know it. We all know it. But I'll tell you what, we're not going to do better if we hand over our future to bullets and bravado. We are not going to do better if we hand over our future to bullets and bravado. And that's it. That's my take. So I've given you the facts. I've given you the facts. I'd like to know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to each and every single one of you. I see you. I read most of the comments, whether they be good or bad. I read the vast majority of the comments, and I appreciate you guys. So please continue to like. Let's continue to grow Trinidad Empowerment Network. And I'll see you guys on the next video. For now, much love. God bless. Take care. Peace.